Okay, we are back. We dropped the live here, and we were just live with Austin. We just did a quick introduction. He told us a little bit about where he was at, so we're gonna get him back on here. Apologize for the technical difficulties, and see if we can get him back on here real quick. Just texting him right now. So, okay, we're gonna go ahead and pull him on. He's back. Let's add him on here. Going again. Okay, we're back.
All right, awesome.
It's sorry. You gotta love technology. I always blame it on Idaho. Up here in Idaho, who knows what? It's
I'd
been like
I'd blame it on
hurricane
Idaho too.
winds. It's been crazy windy too. So like the power goes out like randomly in the day. Anyway, so okay. So just to recap, if people are just watching this one, they missed the first one. You basically said, as time went on, you get kids and you were finding your place in a situation where you didn't want to be.
Hmm.
You're coming home from work, like not a ton of energy, play with your kids for a minute, but not totally where you want to be. And you talked about in the past you'd done a lot of running in high school and that kind of thing. And being 40 or 50 pounds overweight, that's not the best way or most fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So we were just about to get into you saw the videos and things that I had done over time and watched those. So you started the program, and we were talking about, you were just about to tell us what your kind of thoughts were or where you were at kind of as you started the program, because it was a little bit different approach than maybe
Mhm.
what you had done in the past.
Yeah. I mean, I think I approach this like I do a lot of things, just kind of tentatively putting my feelers out there, trying to see if that's something I wanted to do. And then once I like straight up committed to it, I'll be honest, I had like somewhat of an anxiety attack that night. Like I was laying in bed, like, what the heck did I just get myself into? Like this is a huge change, and am I ready for this? Is it something I'm ready for? Yeah, it was a little bit of a sleepless night. I lost a couple hours of sleep, probably tossing over in my head a little bit about it. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it was the first couple of days were hard. I think the hardest part actually for me was the loading days. I just don't eat that much. I mean, which is hard to believe, I guess, considering how much weight I'd gained. But yeah, I this the amount of food that you eat right in the beginning, it was the most miserable days of the entire thing, in my opinion. But but I mean, immediately after that, when you start seeing results, it was just like, oh, okay, well, it made it all worth it for sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
getting into it, getting started, it was a little bit. I probably bugged the heck out of Jared with questions, but I mean, it only took like a week before I was in the groove of things, and things kind of settled in, and it was pretty easy after that.
Yeah, cool. So, and it can be, I mean, it's new, it's different. What were some of the things, I guess, that like that, as you like made the commitment, and I know we had talked and you made that commitment. What was like the couple of the thoughts running through your mind of what was so like, I don't know, scary or like the fear about it? What were some of those things as maybe someone else is maybe joining or starting today or tomorrow or whatever? What were some things you went through as you first started?
I think I was always just worried that I was going to be hungry for a little bit, and then there was also I got kind of nervous that perhaps um, I don't know. I definitely was like, here I am, committing myself, like my time, my energy, my thought process, my finances, whatever you want, towards this goal that I have. And am I just going to turn around and just like go right back to the way I was right afterwards? Because that would seem like a huge waste of time to me. I think that was probably the scariest thing. I've never been one that really likes abrupt change. And I think that I committed to this maybe a little bit unprepared for the commitment, but uh, my wife always makes fun of me that she says, I don't ever like to do things half-assed, basically. Sorry if that's offends people, but yeah, I do things when I commit to something, it's all or nothing, and which I guess has kind of probably been a downfall when it comes to trying to get healthier as well. Because um, if I can't fully commit to going to the gym every single day, I'm not going to go at all. So this was something that I could fully commit to. It didn't really take a ton of time, a ton of energy. It was just something that got me where I wanted to be and got me on at least on a path that I can commit to long term.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, cool. And I think I know a lot of people that it's the like change. What am I getting into? What am I doing? Like, what am I going to actually have to do? So that's huge. And I love the fact that you just did it. You just jumped in. You're like, all right, this is something that will empower me, to move forward with the rest of my life and get healthy. So, okay. So, and for those who maybe are brand new, loading days are the first 2 days of the program where we just eat a ton of food. And what it does, it spikes your metabolism. So after those first 2 loading days, as you mentioned, you were getting fast results. What were some of the things as you went through that you started noticing or learning, or maybe like aha moments for you, things that kept you motivated kind of along the way?
Honestly, talking about it got me motivated. You wouldn't believe, well, maybe you would, but there was tons of temptations between family parties. I don't know, at work they had like 3 days in a row where they had like root beer float parties, and they brought in like J-Dogs and donuts, and oh my gosh, it was like every single day. And then, oh yeah, and then like my boss would take me out for coaching. He's like, hey, I'm really wanting one of those Swig cookies. We're going to go to Swig. And he's like, well, get what you want. And I was like, well, I can have water. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, while that seems like a huge temptation, it was honestly motivating to talk about it because people ask questions, and they seem genuinely interested. I had some kid that I work with that I bet you I haven't said 5 words to the entire time I worked there, and he's like, dude, have you lost weight? And I was like, yeah, man, let me tell you about it. And so I mean, it's just fun to say, yeah, I've lost 15 pounds in the last 2 or 3 weeks, or I've lost 40 pounds in the last 6 weeks, or whatever it is, and people are just like, no way. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, just talking about it was motivating. I probably bugged my family because that's all I talk about anymore, because it's such a big part of my life at the moment. But yeah,
Right.
talking about it and holding yourself accountable to other people was a huge motivator.
Yeah, cool. Well, and really what we're, with that principle, I think that's huge because, it's community, it's having support, it's being able to have a team behind you that's supporting you. And that's one of the biggest factors. I mean, in any goal we shoot for, but especially our health goals, it's really interesting. Research even shows that same thing, that community and support backing you is it's like the biggest indicator of outcomes for health. So that's really cool. I think that's a massive thing that allows you to be successful. And for you, it sounds like that's really made a big difference. So that's really cool. Now, I know you had some family stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and in a fun way, you probably got a little, maybe a little pushback or a little bit of making fun of, or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
How were you able to deal with those situations? Like if someone else is like, it's summer, we got barbecues, we go to the lakes, we go to, whatever it is, like we got vacations. How were you what were you doing? What did you do to be successful during those times?
Oh man. So I think my first real difficult experience. Sorry, my dog's getting in the way.
Oh, you're
Um,
okay.
so my first real difficult experience, I think, where I was getting a little bit of teasing from my family was my little brother had just graduated from the U, and we all went out to eat. And it was my first experience going out to eat, and it was still relatively early in the program, and I was like, I don't think I can eat anything here. And I always make fun of my wife because when she's like, well, I want to order this, but could you hold this? And I don't want this. And could you cook it this way? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, just order what's on the menu and just eat it or pick it off. Anyways, I wasn't able to do that. I had to be like, well, can you give me, some chicken? Can you make sure it's not cooked in any like oils or anything like that? And just bring me some salad, no dressing, and a bowl of fruit. and
Yeah.
and and I mean, they tease me a little bit because they're sitting there eating these awesome looking hamburgers and Philly cheesesteak, and my dad had a nice big salmon, and I'm like, you guys all suck. and they teased me about how boring my food looked, and it probably was a little bit more boring than what I probably would have made for myself at home. But I didn't have a lot of control over what was going on. But I mean, honestly, my family's been super supportive. They're constantly telling me that, you know, they're proud that I you know, took the steps to, for as young as I am, trying to take control of my health early on, so I don't have to worry about it later on. So I mean, for the most part, it's been extremely motivating, but it was a little bit difficult that first little bit. I got a little bit of ribbing a little bit from my family, but that's just my family.
I think that's a lot of our families, right? So,
Yeah.
So cool. Okay, so just going out and having your goal kind of in mind and knowing like what you wanted and just being a little assertive at the restaurant, it sounds like was
Mm-hmm.
a kind of a key thing where you're like, okay, can I, you know, and just ask for what you want. And it's pretty cool that most restaurants will just do it. Like, you know, you just say, hey, can I get this, this, and this? And they're like, sure.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I think sometimes we get so scared that like, they're going to be like, no, or like, I don't know what we think, but I remember going through that a lot in the beginning for me changing as well. So very cool. So you've had family outings, you've been successful there. It sounds like work stuff. I mean, there's, you know, temptation. So how did you get through that kind of stuff? Like, what were the things that you were doing to be like, stick to it when you had those kinds of situations where like your boss is like, yeah, get whatever you want?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It really was not. Maybe it's just me, but it really wasn't that difficult. I mean, the root beer floats. That's a pretty big thing because, man, I love my ice cream. But for the most part, I mean, I just knew that if I cheated, I just, it was one of those things. Like I said, it's all or nothing. If I'd have cheated, man, for all I know, I'd have just quit the program right there and not even kept going. So it was just not even an issue with me. I just knew what I was going to say if something like that came up. So yeah, it luckily, I feel like I have a pretty strong willpower, I think, when it comes to eating food and whatnot. So it just, yeah, I think I just tried to avoid it as best I could in all ways, shapes, and forms. I wanted to make sure that I wanted to get the best results I could. And if that meant, you know, following this strict regimen and not bending on the rules anywhere, then that's what I was going to do.
Yeah, cool. Well, and I think that's huge. And this principle applies to anywhere. Like if you're starting a business or you're a teenager and your friends are offering you drugs or alcohol, or if you're, you know, whatever it is, and you just make that decision and you just say like, nope, like this is what I'm doing now. Like this is my life and I'm taking control of it. And it sounds like for you, like just you made that decision, you said, we're doing it. And then you didn't even look back. There was no second guessing. There's no like, okay, maybe I'll just have a bite or this or that. It was just, we're doing it. So, and you knew that before any situation popped up. Sounds like you had a plan. You just knew I'm going to say this. I'm just committing to it, which is huge.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Devastating is a little bit of an extreme word, but my wife was kind enough to make dinner for me a few times throughout this. I mean, she wasn't always willing to sit down and participate in the meals that I was eating, but she made us shrimp and made the whole family shrimp, and she was nice enough to cook mine in water and hers and the kids in butter and garlic and stuff. So, anyways, I sat down and I wasn't there when it was being prepared. I sat down and ate, and I'm sitting there eating. I'm like, this is really good. It's like, did you cook this separately? Oh yeah, I cooked it separately. You're sure? Yeah. I was like, okay. And so I ate like all of it, and I was like, are you really sure? Because this tastes just like it's been cooked in butter. And I looked and I was like, you have the exact same color plate that I do. Are your shrimp did you switch our plates? And she's just like she felt really bad, and honestly that was probably the only real cheat I guess I would have in the whole time, was just that I ate some shrimp that had been cooked in butter, and it was completely not my fault. But
yeah.
That was it, and like I said, I was fully committed to it 100%.
Cool. That's awesome. I think that's huge. And you know, some people may not have that like same willpower, but I think the principle that you're talking about of just making the commitment and saying, this is what I'm doing, I think that's massive.
Yeah.
So very cool. So as you went through the program, what were some of the things that you maybe learned, like about yourself, or like these moments where you were like, okay, like I get this, like this is making sense, or I had these aha moments that really kind of, now looking back, you're like, okay, like this is great. I've learned these things. This is going to be beneficial for me long term.
Sure.
That kind of stuff.
Um, well, as far as what I learned, man, my steak grilling capabilities have improved, and I can make a mean sirloin now. Um, so I mean, I grew up with my mom and my grandma. They were always eating super healthy. I mean, we ate stuff fresh out of the garden. I mean, and I always just felt good as a kid. I rarely got sick. I think I've been to the hospital for actually being sick one time in my life. So I'm not used to actually not feeling in tip-top shape. But I have noticed uh, in the last couple of years that I find myself, catching colds more. I find myself getting sick more, and I think mixing, just taking vitamins or eating good food and whatnot is huge, because I haven't felt sick in months, obviously. I have eczema pretty bad on my face, which hence the beard, because it hurts to shave. So uh, my skin's cleared up. I haven't had as bad of outbreaks there. It hasn't completely gone away, because it's not like it's a cure necessarily, but yeah, I haven't had to be on top of that nearly as much. Um, and I think I just realized like how poorly, even though like I said I don't eat a ton, how poorly I was eating in the food that I did choose to eat when I would eat. And I I I, I don't know. It's something that I'm pretty feeling pretty strongly about, making sure that my kids, eat the right kinds of food, that they're, if they do get to indulge at grandma's by going to McDonald's or something like that, that it's something that's infrequently enough that it's still a treat to them, rather than something that they're just like, oh, we get to go to grandma's, so we get to eat like crap. So yeah, I just think that was probably the biggest thing that I learned, is that it's just, how you think that sitting down and having this well balanced meal, so to speak, of spaghetti, and even if you throw a salad and stuff like that in there, really you're not eating that well when that food is that processed. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's huge. I think most people in the United States, we have this idea of like eating healthy, and we don't really know what that means. We don't actually know what foods
to-
nourish our body, you know?
yeah, like I picked Subway over McDonald's, so therefore I'm eating healthy, right?
Right, right. Yeah. Like I went to Chick-fil-A instead of Burger King, and that one's a better option.
Yeah,
So I'm eating healthier, right? I got a salad instead,
yeah,
but it's covered in ranch dressing. So yeah, no, and that's one of the things I think we talk a lot about, at least I try to talk a lot about, is what foods actually nourish our body.
hmm
What foods actually are going to help our body thrive and kind of address those root cause problems of why we gain weight. And because of that, like you feel good, your skin clears up, you lose the weight, and all those fun things that you've experienced. So that's awesome. I think that's huge. So very cool. So okay, so kind of on the results side of things, you've lost what's it now, almost 38 pounds, I think, since
yeah.
start, or somewhere around there. Your skin's getting better, just feeling better. It sounds like overall. What are some of the other things you've kind of experienced as you've gone through it?
Dude, I need a new belt and some new pants. I haven't brought myself to actually buying new pants, because I just bought the ones, or the
Yeah.
couple pairs of jeans right before I started, which was probably a big mistake. But dude, I need to take my suit in to get tailored. Like I had to go buy a new set of slacks because my little brother is getting married next week, and it's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
Right. It's a good problem.
I'm wearing, like, I can wear a shirt. I have this T-shirt that I've hung on to for years, uh, since high school. Like I'm wearing this shirt in the first picture that I ever took with my wife, which was 2004. So I can fit back into that, and that's pretty friggin' awesome because it's an awesome shirt.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of stuff's great. I'm finding that I have a heck of a lot more motivation to. It was really, really. I think another little bit of a struggle was actually not exercising because I love spring. I love to go out and go hiking and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I just don't want. I want to go hiking, but I don't want to. I don't want to jeopardize the actual program. So the fact that I can actually go out and do it now, I'm finding that I have a lot more motivation to do home projects, and I have a lot more motivation to come out and play with my dog and wrestle with my kids and take them out to do things. So yeah, motivation I think is a thing that I've noticed the most. I don't find myself sitting around wishing that or sitting around doing nothing all day. On a Saturday, I'm like, heck, if I'm not up by like 7:30, 8 o'clock and doing something, then I'm feeling like it's kind of a wasted day. So
Yeah. Well, that's huge, especially as you mentioned before, like having, before joining the program, you were coming home and like needing a 15-minute nap. I mean, to be able to have that motivation, energy, and feel like you can just get out and do it. That's awesome. That's fantastic to hear. So, and the cool part that I love about that is there's a lot of ways to lose weight, but not all of them make you healthier. Right. And because you have more energy, and I mean, when your skin clears up, that means your whole body's getting healthier, right? When you're feeling better and you're like, all those things start improving, it means that on a cellular level, we are getting healthier, which, when we're 60 years old or 70 years old or 80 years old, our bodies can maintain that health long term. So that's awesome.
yeah.
So super, super cool. Those are, and there's a lot of fun side effects too, right? Your clothes are fitting, people notice, and that's all fun stuff too. So very cool.
There was something I was going to say along those lines. I kind of spaced it in the middle of that. Yeah, I'll think of it probably. It'll come back to me.
Okay, cool. So just as I always like to kind of, as we wrap it up as far as kind of the end of the call, I always like to ask a couple of questions as far as, if someone were watching this who's new to the program or maybe isn't part of the program, or I guess if you had someone in your mind, maybe not a specific person, but a type of person, like a group of people, whoever it might be, what type of person do you feel like might benefit from doing the program?
Oh, everybody. So I would say people who have somewhat similar mindsets as I did. Like I said, it's hard to jump into a lot of different programs. Like my parents have done a recent one that's like they've done like juice cleanses and stuff like that, and I look at that and I'm like, that just seems so wrong. And while it probably has its benefits and a lot of people swear by it, I look at something like that and I'm like, I don't think I could commit myself to doing that. Like obviously I wanted to get healthy. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to have the energy to play with my kids and take them out and make sure that they're having a good childhood that they can spend with their dad. Looking at some of the stuff that people are committing themselves to is awesome, and it's inspiring that people can commit hours to go to the gym and they can commit hours to toning their bodies and stuff like that. It's just not realistic, I think, for a lot of people. And for someone like me who has that all or nothing mindset for whatever reason that's ingrained in my mind, I don't know how I would have committed to anything. So I'm sure a lot of you heard P90X a few years ago. Like that was like the big thing. I committed to that. It was supposed to only be 3 months, and I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. But I was like, nah, I don't need to do the eating part. I'm just going to add the exercise. And I saw very, very little results. And I ended up stopping after I think I did it for 5 weeks, which was good. I mean, it's good to be active, but I'd come home from work and it would be an hour and my kid would go to bed, and that was it. And if I didn't commit to it right doing it after work, I wasn't going to do it. So for someone who doesn't, maybe doesn't have a lot of time, wants to commit most of their free time to family and doesn't want to spend hours in the gym or the money to have a gym membership or whatever it is, I think anybody can really benefit from just even if they don't do the full program, just taking, you know, the basics of it, I think is beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, cool. I like that. And that's, I think that's a huge proponent to anything that you're doing. And if you want to lose weight and do it permanently, you have to really get healthy, and you have to find a sustainable way to get healthy,
Oh,
right?
right.
It's not sustainable to eat chicken and broccoli all day long every day or
Right.
whatever. So,
Yeah. I remember what I was going to say. So, um, 2015, I think, or was it 13? Oh my gosh, it was 2013. So I graduated from college, and we were going to Hawaii. My parents were taking us to Hawaii as kind of a graduation gift, and I was like, I cannot. I mean, I think I was 1